This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah. In yesterday's session, just we have discussed about what is meant by cloud computing and what are the different cloud providers are there. How Amazon is different, AWS is different with some other clouds. What are the major public clouds currently in the market, and how that AWS management console looks like, how to create that free tier account. Okay, so these things like what is regions and availability zones inside the cloud. These are the things we covered yesterday. Today we are going to start a first service. The service name is called IAM. IAM is nothing but Identity and Access Management. So IAM service will be helpful to maintain the authentication and authorization of the users to log into the AWS account. Suppose let's say currently I am working with AWS means I will create an account. So for practice purpose, which is called AWS free tier account. Maybe you will be practicing means you will create one more account, right? So here we are not sharing the account, but once you joined in a company, so first for any project, they will create one account, one AWS account, and inside the single account, they will create multiple users. Let's say for a project, there are some 5 developers are working and some 5 testers are working. Instead of five, let me consider it as 2 developers are working, 2 testers, testing team people are working, and there is one network guy is there who will be taking care about networking or any enough thing, or otherwise we can say DevOps guy or cloud engineer, okay, and one manager or team lead or manager. So let's say a team will be consists of like this, and where they have an application. So developers will take care about the development part. Once it is done, testers will take care about the testing part. So our responsibility is so granting the permissions for all these people. Let's say total 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1. Total 6 people are there. For the 6 people, we have to create the user inside the AWS account. Okay, so inside the AWS account for these 6 people, along with the person who will be working. Suppose let's say this is the person which is working on the AWS cloud. So he has to take care about creating the user for each and every developer or tester, some other people who is working in the project. So now we will see how to create that users, how to create the different users, and how to share the credentials with them. Suppose let's say a developer joined today. So we will consider developer 1 and developer 2, the 2 people name. So here, otherwise you can directly consider some name, Suresh or Naresh, 2 people who will be working as a developer. So you will create the user with his name, and some password will be generated. That username and password you will share with Suresh. So Suresh, what he will do, he will log in with the credentials, whatever you have shared first time, and then it will provide the option to reset the password so that he can able to set whatever the password he want. So there we will set some password policy also, whether he has to use that uppercase or lowercase or any digits he has to use or any special characters are there, how big the password length should be. All those things we have the control. We have to set that and we have to give that instruction so that he can use that format to set his own password and all. Okay, so like that for each and every user, once he joined in the organization, we will create the user in AWS account by using the service called IAM. Okay, so inside the IAM, we have sub services. So IAM is a one service. Inside the IAM, we have the concepts, different concepts called users, roles, users, groups is there, roles is there, policies is there, roles is there, and then we have to discuss about MFA. Majorly, these are some 5 different subtopics we have to discuss inside IAM. So currently we are discussing about users topic, how to create a user. So let's say there are 6 persons are there. We have to create the user for these 6 people. Okay. So let me log into my AWS account and how we will see this one. I think everyone created that AWS account by this time. So if not, let's create and practice whatever we are doing on daily basis. Let's practice on the same day itself, so that if you have any doubts, we can easily fix it in the next day itself. And here, so till now, I have not created any IAM users. So today we are going to discuss that topic, right? So once we created any other IAM user, at the time we will use this second option to log in and all. For now, let it be logged in as a root user only. Yesterday we logged in, right? So root user means the mail ID which you have used to create the account, AWS account that you will use. Mail ID. After that, some verification code will be generated. So once you enter that verification code, you have to provide your password. So currently I am able to log into my AWS account. Um, so this is how the console will look like. So inside this one, if I want to go to IAM service, so just you can go to the list of all the services, or in the search bar, just search for IAM. So any service if you want to search, here inside the search bar, just to search for IAM. So if you search for IAM, the related services will be displayed over here. See, this is the one we want. Just click on that one. Once we open the IAM service, this is how the console will look like. So IAM, identity and access management, and what are the topics are there? Here we can see. Inside all these topics here, at least if you know about the groups concept, users, roles, policies, these are sufficient. Okay, so now we will see how to create a users concept. Here you can see there is a users option is there, right? Let's click on that users button. Once you click on the user button, there is some user is already created. Let it be, let me delete that one. I think last batch I have created that one. See, now there are no users actually. Okay, inside my IAM service, I went to users section. Inside the user section, currently the users are 0. There are no users. Only the user which we have created the account, right? That is called the root user. I'm able to log in with my mail ID and password, right? That is called the root user. So in AWS, we can consider the users as two things. One is called root user, other one is the IAM user. So usually whenever you created an account, at the time we will use some mail ID and password, right? That is nothing but mail ID and password we will use to log in. This is the root user or main user where he has the full control over the AWS account. Okay, he can manage everything. But currently, once you are joined in a company and if you are the cloud engineer also, you will not be able to access this root user. Currently, I am the owner for my AWS account, so that's why I can able to log in with the root user. But inside the organization, they will not allow you to log in as a root user. First time, for you also, they will create an IAM user, a manager or someone will create an IAM user for you and they will share some username and password with you. Later on, you have to log in as a IAM user only. So now we will see how to create that IAM user and all. Okay, so this root user is temporary user or you can say one-time purpose. Once you created the account, you have to create IAM users for each and every user. we will not use this root user at all. Why? Because root user has the full permissions. So if someone by mistake deleted some other resources and all, it will be very difficult. So that's why they will not use root user much. But for practice purpose and in our AWS account, it's up to you. You can use that root user also. Okay. So now we will see how to create the users and all. Let's say there are 6 people are there in my team means I can able to create the users here. How to create the user? Here there is a add users button is there, right? If you click on this add users button, you can able to create the username. Suppose let's say the user will be developer1, for example. Actually developer name what it will be, you can provide that name. Okay, whether it is Suresh or Naresh, whatever it may be, you can provide that name. For now I will be creating the username as developer1, and what access he wants. There are two ways to access the AWS account. One is this way. So we are logging to one portal and where we are seeing, right? This is called user interface or AWS Management Console. AWS Management Console access. In order to access this AWS Management Console UI, where we need password, this username and this password we need. So if we want to work with the UI console based, you have to provide this access, means this checkbox needs to be ticked. Suppose you don't want to provide this access, there is one more way is there to access via programmatic way. Okay, we will see how to access programmatically and all, how to create an user, everything we can do. Whatever we are doing via this console, the same things we can do via programmatically also, like creation of the user, deletion of the user. So same things, whatever you are doing in the UI, this console, you can do via programmatic way also. But how to access programmatically and all, we will see later. But for now, so I want to give the console access to this developer one. Okay. So let me provide the this password option. And here the password also, whether you want to auto generate the password of this particular user or you want to set some custom password. Custom password means if you select this option, you have to provide some password for him. But anyway, this is temporary password, right? Just we are generating some password and we will share with this particular user. So here we will provide the option to reset his password. This checkbox is there. User must create a new password at next sign in. So if this tick box is selected, so once he logged in with his temporary password, he can able to set some new password. For that purpose, this tick box also needs to be selected. Okay, so this is how username you have to provide, and whether you want to provide programmatic access or console access. If you want to give both, just you can select the both options. Okay, for now I will be selecting only console access for the developer one, and here I want to auto generate the password and I want to give the access to him so that he can reset the password. Okay, so once you are done everything, let's click on next. So here you can able to add some permissions to that particular user, but for now I'm not doing anything. Just click on next. Later we will see how to add the permissions and all. Just click on next, next, create user. So once you click on create user, user will be created. See, this is the username, and here see some temporary password is generated. So which you can't able to see, but if you click on the show button, you can see the temporary password. So you can download this username and password by downloading this CSV file also. Simply you can copy the credentials from here. Otherwise, if you click on this download CSV file, let it be downloaded, and if you open that file, inside that file you can see this username and password. See, this is how a file will be generated, and inside the file the username and the password of that particular user. And in order to log into that particular user, what is the link to log in that user? This is the link to log. Okay, this is how the same file we will share with that particular user over mail or any other communication channel. Okay, I have created an AWS account for you. You can use this username and password. Once you log in with this password, it will provide the option to reset your password. Like that, we will share the credentials with the developer one. So let me, how the developer one now log in. So he will use this link to log in. Okay. So let me log in some different window. But if I log in the same window, I will be logged out from the root user. Automatically, I will be logged out from my account. So that's why I will open some incognito window. In the incognito window, I will be pasting that link. So currently I am logging as a developer one. Okay, so developer one credentials he received, and currently he want to log in. See here, once I clicked on that link, then automatically this account ID is filled, and it is asking two more details: IAM username and IAM password. So this account ID is nothing but the same account ID. If you see that account ID over here, if you click on this one, here you can see the account ID. So now you can observe the difference. Earlier, I logged in with a root user. So at the time, I need what credentials? Mail ID and password. If I want to log in as a root user, I need the mail ID and password. Currently, I am logging as a IAM user. If I am logging as a IAM user, I need account ID and the IAM username and IAM password. So we need three details to log in as a IAM user. Okay, if it is a root user, mail ID and password is sufficient to log in. If it is an IAM user, we need three details. One is account ID, IAM username, and the IAM password. See, account ID is already filled over here. So IAM username will be developer1. And what is the password? You can get that password from here. This is the password. Let's copy and paste that password here. And just click on sign in, then you can able to log into the same account but with a different user. Let it be login. So before login, first see, it is providing the option to reset his password. Okay, so because the password which we have shared is known to us, right? Because we only shared the password. Maybe we can by mistake, or we can misuse his password, right? So that's why we have to provide the option to reset his password first time. Okay, here I'm entering his old password, and then I can able to set some new password for him. The new password will be, I am adding the same password, and along with that, in the end, I am adding three more, some 1 2 3 kind of thing. Same password, 1 2 3. So you have to type the some new password and retype that new password. Then just click on confirm password change. So next time onwards, you have to use that new password. The old password will not work. So temporary purpose, first one time login purpose only, this password will be helpful. So now that particular user, developer one, is logged in. How to know whether developer one is joined? Here you can see dev1 at the rate account ID. So if I go to that normal window where you can see this is logged in as a Fanindra user. Here you can see my name. So this is the root user I logged in. But if I go to that incognito window, you can see developer one user is logged in. Here you can see on the top which user is logged in. Currently, this account is logged in with developer one user. So now we will see the same account here we can see, but if you observe clearly, as a root user or Fanindra user, now I can do whatever I want. I can go to IAM and I can create a new user. I can delete the user. So I can do whatever I want. But as a developer one, I can't able to access IAM service. So earlier, in IAM user section, I don't have any users, right? Now you can see I created one user, developer one, which is created 2 minutes ago, and the password age is 1 minute ago. Means he changed the password, right? So the password is changed 1 minute ago. So because in the organizations and all, for every 30 days or 60 days and 90 days, some organizations every 90 days, we should ask the developers to change their passwords. For every 90 days, they have to change their passwords and all. For that reason, here the password age, when the password is changed or when the password is created, so the time is maintained. Maybe the password is changed 2 days ago, 3 days ago. Like that, after 90 days, he has to change the password. In my organization, we are changing the password for every 90 days. After 90 days, automatically the password will not work. He can't able to log in with the password. He has to reset the password for every 90 days. Okay. And next one. So currently one user is created and I logged in with that user, right? See, this is the user which I logged in as a developer one. Now let's go to the IAM service. With that user, I'm go to the IAM service, but he can't able to access the IAM. It will throw some exception saying that you don't have the permission and all. Let it be open. See, currently I'm getting you do not have the permission required to do some operation. Ask your administrator to add the permission. See, this is how you do not have the permission. You do not have the permission. Suppose if you go to the user section also, it will show you do not have the permission and you need permission. And here add users button is there earlier, but now I am not seeing that add users button because this developer one doesn't have the permission to create the new user. If you really want to grant the permission of this IE for this developer one, then where you have to provide the permission. So here only, as this Fanindra user or root user, so you have to open this developer one user. Okay, for that developer one user, whatever the permissions you want to add, you can able to add it over here. So currently I am the inside IAM user, I am there at a user section. Inside the user section, I am there at developer one. So inside developer one, you can see what are the permissions are added to that particular developer. You can able to see it over here. And next one, there is a groups concept is there. We will discuss after some time. So if he is added to any group, you can see it over here. Currently, he is not part of any group. And the permissions, only one permission is there. IAM user change password. So by default, each and every user, he will get this permission. He can able to change the password of this IAM user. That is the permission he has currently. Except that he don't have any other permission. So how to add some permissions? Here you can see add permissions button is there, right? So this add permissions button will be helpful to add some permissions to him. So now let me click on this add permissions button. And here there are three things are there. Add user to a group or copy permissions from an existing user, attach existing policies directly. Let's select the third option. We will see what is meant by these two options also. Okay. For now, let's select the third option. And suppose for the developer one, I want to provide the IAM access. Let's select IAM over here. If you select IAM and if you provide IAM read-only access, then you can able to see if you select this permission. This is a one type of permission, IAM read-only access. I want to provide only read access to the particular user. I don't want to provide write access. Write access is nothing but creating the user, deleting the user, all those things comes under write access. Read access is nothing but just he can see how many users are there, what permissions are there for that particular user. Those things he can see, but he can't able to modify the existing permissions and all. For now, let me provide the read only access. Just click on next, add permissions. That's it. Now currently if you observe, the particular developer one has two permissions. One is IAM user change password, he can change his own password, and IAM read only access. Once you added this policy, if you go to the developer one and if you refresh the page, currently the users list, it is showing you don't have the permission, right? Just I granted the permission for the developer one. If I refresh the screen, he can able to see the list of the users. How many users are there? He can see. Now you can see as a developer one, I can see the list of the users, but I can't able to add a new user. See, I can't able to create a new user. Let me try to add the user. I'm trying to create a new user also. In the end, it will throw some exception saying that you don't have the permission. Let me create. See, if I'm trying to create button here, it is showing some exception saying that unable to create the user because developer one doesn't have the permission. Just we granted some read-only access to the IAM service. So how to grant the full permission? So he also needs to create some different users and all. So you can delete this particular permission and you can provide full IAM access permission. So add permissions button. Click on add permissions button once again. Go to this third option and here you can select the policy IAM full access. Instead of IAM read-only access, you have to select IAM full access. Here, if you select IAM full access, just click on next, add permissions. Then my developer one user has the permission, full permission to the IAM. Okay, if he has the full permission, this read-only access is not required. You can simply delete this permission also. Okay, because anyway he has the full access, right? So this read-only access is not required. Why? Because the read-only access is the part of the full permission only. Currently, inside IAM, he can do whatever he want. Okay. Now, let me go to this user and let me create the user developer too. So currently, he can able to create. See, this exception is showing the previous one, but as a developer one, now I created one more developer user, developer two, and his credentials are there. Now developer two will log in with his username and his own password, and he can set some new password. This is how for all the users, you have to create a different users. Okay. So now you got an idea, right? How to create the user and how to grant some permissions to that particular user and how that particular user logged in for the first time and how to reset their password and all. So like the developer one and developer two. Similarly, I can create multiple users also at a time. So now this time I will show you how to create multiple users at a time instead of creating one by one user. Let's say tester one is there, one testing people. So here you can see one more button, add another user button is there, right? Let's click on this one. Here I can create at a time multiple people, tester two, and let's say some cloud engineer one, DevOps one, the people who is working on DevOps area or cloud area, just let's say the username will be DevOps one. So like that, how many users you want, you can use this button to create that many users. Okay, so now I'm creating three different users. So for these three different users, whether you want to provide console access or the programmatic access, let's say I'm providing both the access for them. Okay, so if you are providing both the access, if you are providing only console access, you will get the password. If you are granting the programmatic access along with the password, you will get two more values. One is called access key and the another one is called secret key. These two extra values you will get if you grant the programmatic access. Let me grant the programmatic access and for those three users, first time the password will be auto-generated and I am providing the option, this tick mark to reset the password. Suppose if you doesn't select this tick mark, so every time he has to log in with this password only. Okay, auto-generated password only. Because we know this password, right? That's why we have to provide the option to reset their own password. Okay, and here you can see users automatically get the IAM user change password policy to allow them to change their own password. So if you select this button, then only they can see the pass option to reset their password, first time login and all. Okay. So that's why you have to select this option for sure. And just click on next. And while creating the user itself, if you want to grant some permission, so from here you can grant. Earlier, I have not granted the permission while creating the user, but now if I want to grant some permission at the time of creation of the user itself, here attach existing policies directly, and here you can select the permission, what permission I want to provide. Suppose, let's say, IAM read-only access I want to provide to them. Just I can select this permission. Suppose if I want to provide IAM full access, let's search that particular policy name. These are called policies. We will discuss those things also later sometime. Whichever the permission we want, we have to add that particular policy. Okay, so for now, I'm not adding any permissions to these particular people. So let it be. Just click on next and just click on create users. Then 3 users will be created at a time. See, username and the password of that particular user you can see. Username, password, username, password. This is how multiple users also at a time you can able to see. So you can download this CSV file. And one more thing, without copying this username and password or without downloading this CSV, so if you click on close button, you don't see the password again. Okay, so once you created the credential, this is the place where you can able to get the password. So by mistake, without downloading the CSV or without copying these passwords, simply if you click on close button, you can't able to see the passwords. So you can't able to share the passwords with tester1 and tester2. So that's why. So once this page is appears where you have to share what is the tester1 username and what is his password. So suppose if you don't want to see the password and copy these things manually, simply you can download this file, download CSV file. If you open the CSV file, inside the CSV file, these all details will be maintained. So if I open that CSV file, see, and here I can see tester1 username, password, and programmatic access also we provided, right? That's why the additional 2 details also appears here. What is his access key and what is his secret key? These 2 details will be helpful for tester1 to log in or to access via programmatically. So we will see that in future classes, how to access the AWS via programmatic way and all. So to log in via console, we need these 2 details, username and the password. Okay, so this is how. So once the users are created, just download the CSV file and then close. And one more thing, don't share all the credentials. Suppose let's say in single mail, don't include tester1 mail, tester2 and DevOps1, the 3 people at a time. Oh, these are the credentials of yours. Like that, don't share these 3 credentials to a single developer. So you have to share the tester1 username and password with him separately by copying. Maybe if you want, you can just copy these details and you can share this is your username, this is your password, like that. Similarly, you have to share the tester2 credentials with him. Simply don't share this entire Excel sheet. If you are creating multiple users, that is fine, but while sharing the credentials with them, you have to share that particular person credentials only with them. Okay, now let's click on close. So currently I have created total 5 users. If you see the users list, inside the IAM, I can see total 5 users are there. Like this, so how many people are working inside your project or inside your in your project? So for each and every people, each and every person, you have to create an IAM user like this. Suppose currently in my project, we have some 35 plus people are there. So for all those 35 people, we will create the 35 IAM users. Okay, so here I'm just giving an example of 5 people. So 2 people working in development team, 2 people will working in testing team. So why I'm considering 2 developers, 2 testers and all? So later we have a concept called groups. Okay, so this is about users. So and this is the entire user section. If you want to select any particular user, what permissions he has and all, just you can click on that particular user. Okay. See, developer 2 is there. So developer 2 user, what permissions are there? You can see it over here. If you want to add any permissions to him, you can just click on this add permissions button. If you want to delete the permission, just you can delete this button. You can use this into symbol just to delete the permission. So if you want to delete the user, simply you can use this button to delete the user, developer 2 and all. If you want to delete, you can use this delete user button. Otherwise, from the users list also you can delete. Suppose let's say developer 2 I want to delete. Let's select that particular developer and the delete button is there here. You can delete that particular user. So when you will delete the users, suppose if the person left the organization, so on the last day of this notice period, you have to delete that credentials because if he know his credentials once he left the organization also, maybe he can misuse the organization, right? He can able to once he went left the organization, he can able to misuse his credentials. Okay, so that's why you have to delete his user credentials once he's left the organization. On the last day of this organization only, we have to clean up all his access and all. Okay, so this is how for each and every person, what and all services. Currently, just I'm giving an example of IAM service because we are discussing about IAM. So that's why I am granting the permissions also, which is related to IAM. Suppose whether it is IAM full access or IAM read-only access, like that. Just I am discussing. Suppose there is a service called EC2, there is a service called S3, RDS, VPC. See, like that we have lot of services are there. For each and every service, that particular service, one is full access, other one is read-only access. Like that, there are two policies or two permissions are there. Suppose EC2 is there, EC2 full access is there, EC2 read-only access is there. Similarly, S3 is there, S3 full access is there, S3 read-only access is there. So like that, for every service, okay, you may get two different permissions. Whichever the permission, whichever the service they want, whether they need the full access or whether they need the read-only access, that permission, we will attach to that particular user. Okay, so this will be helpful to grant the permissions whether they need the read access or write access. Currently just I am discussing about only IAM, but if you want to see permissions which is related to S3, let's say this particular developer, suppose let's say developer 1, if we want to access the S3 service, first time let me access the S3 service with the help of root user. You can search for S3, and if you click on the S3 button, so this S3 and all we will discuss in future. Just I am opening the page how it will look like and all. See, currently I logged into the S3 console. There are no buckets. In S3 we will create some buckets and all. So currently the buckets count is 0. Okay, but if any buckets are there, I can able to display the buckets. Currently the buckets count is 0. Means I have the permission to access the buckets and all. Okay, but if you go to developer 1 and if you same again search for S3 service, so this particular user currently can't able to access the S3 because he don't have the permission. The developer 1, we have not granted the permission to access the S3. He will get some exception saying that you don't have the permission to list the buckets. So how he will get the access? As a root user, okay, Fanindra user or root user, we have to go to the IAM service. Inside the IAM service, for a developer 1, I have to grant the inside IAM, I have to go to the user section. I have to go to developer 1, and for that developer 1, uh, he requested, hey, I want to access the S3 service. Then here we will click on the add permission. We will click on this third button, and here we will attach whether he want S3 full access, then just attach this policy. Whether he want S3 just a read only access, just you can type for S3 read only access, just you can attach this policy. Okay, for now S3 read only access is fine. Just click on next, add permissions. Then now if you go to that particular developer 1, if you refresh the screen, currently he's getting this, you don't have the permission, right? If you refresh the screen, he can't able to get that exception. He can able to see the bucket count and all. Currently the bucket count is 0. It is not showing that you don't have the permission to access the bucket and all. Okay, this is how you have to provide some permission. Any particular service, if he want to log in, that particular IAM users wants to log in, you have to provide that permission at IAM, at user section. Okay, next topic will be groups. Okay, so we completed this user section. The next topic will be groups. Currently, we have seen how to create a user, how to log in with that different user, how to reset the password, and then how to delete the user also, how to add some permissions to that particular user. Then what is meant by groups? Suppose let's say there are two developers only currently in my team. That is fine. Suppose almost developers will need similar permissions. Similarly, almost testers will need some similar permissions and all. There are two developers, that is fine. We can simply create the permissions. We can add the permissions to developer one and developer two. Okay, so two developers will be developer one, comma, developer 2. We created the users. So this one will be tester 1, comma, tester 2, two people. And this one will be DevApps 1 is the user we created. This is how 5 different users we created. Now I want to create a group for developers. Okay, so for this developers, I want to create a group. Similarly, for this testers, I want to create a group. And similarly, for this DevOps team, I want to create a group. Why? Because so today we have only two developers. Maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow or maybe next year, you may have or your development team will increase up to let's say 5 developers. Then whenever you want to add some permission, then you have to go to individual developer. Developer one, you have to go and you have to add permission. Developer two, you have to go and you have to add permission. Instead of doing that all things and all, simply you can create a group. Okay, see, let me create a group here. Click on create group. The group name will be development group. Okay, dev. The group name will be dev. And what users you want to add to that particular group. Okay, suppose let's say I want to add developer 1 and developer 2, two users. So the list of users will be displayed to here. Total list of users presented inside your AWS account will be displayed over here. Now you can able to add these two users. I want to add to this developer group. Let me add that one. And what permissions you want to add at the group level. So currently, earlier we provided at user level, but now you can add that IAM permission or whatever you can add at the group level. So now let me add EC2 read only permission. See, I'm searching with EC2 related permission. Okay, so here EC2 service is there, right? That EC2 related service I am searching. So here I want to grant this permission. Just click on create. Then one group is creating and the group is created now. Let's see here user groups option is there. Inside the user groups earlier we have 0, but now we created one group which is called dev. So if you open that group or if you see here, number of users inside the group will be 2 users. So if you open that group, inside the group also, you can see what are the users are added inside that group. There are 2 users are added. And if you see what permissions are there at the group level, I added this permission. So this permission I added at group level, so automatically the same permission will be applies to user 1 and user 2 because this user 1 and user 2 are part of this group, right? Developer group. So this particular two users will get this permission. Whatever the permission you will add here. Suppose let's say if I add one more permission here. So that permission will automatically apply to developer 1 and developer 2. So it doesn't require that if there are 10 developers are there in the team. So if you add those 10 developers to a group, then all the if any permission you want to provide to the 10 developers, simply you can add that permission at the group level. Suppose let's say I don't want to add 10 um, 10 persons the same permission. Maybe one person will be the team lead. Developer lead also will be there. Some senior developer or some lead to the development team is there. So at the time, any extra permission if you want to add to that one person, okay, that one you can able to add at the user level. Okay, suppose let's say developer one is the team lead of development team. You can add that extra permission whatever you want to add to him at the user level, but the common permission you want to add all the developers you can able to attach at the group level. Okay, this is how if you want to add some common permissions, so that permissions you can able to add at the group level. So automatically that permission will applies to all the users which are presented inside that group. Okay, so now I have created one group, right? Similarly, let me create one more group. So this group name will be testing team. Let's say testing team. So what users you want to add to that particular user? Let's say tester one and tester two, I want to add to that particular group. And what permission you want to add to that particular team? Let's say RDS one service is there. So the RDS service they want to access. RDS full access related thing, if you search, here you can see that permission and you can create the group. Then a group will be created with testing, and inside the testing group, two users are added. And inside the testing group, if you go and check, the two users are added and the permission is added over here. So automatically this RDS full access permission will be applied to the tester one and tester two. If you go to the tester one at users level, you can see that one. You can see the permissions. Earlier we have not added any permissions to that tester one. Okay, but now you can see Amazon RDS full access is added. How it is added? See here. It is added from the group testing. So if any permission or any policy is attached to a user, so that will be displayed over here. Attached directly option is there, right? That will be displayed over here. Attached from the group is nothing but if that permission is getting from the group, then it will be displayed here. But which is from which group we are getting, here we can able to see it. And one more thing, you can able to add a single user to multiple groups also. Suppose sometimes maybe some Suresh person is there. He know development. Okay, he can able to do the development and he can able to do the testing also. Okay, so the permissions whatever the development team has and the permission whatever the testing team has, both the permission that he needs to get. Okay, so let me create one more user. That user name will be, suppose I am creating one user called all rounder. Let's say he know development, he know testing and everything. Let's say I'm creating that username as all rounder. So I'm creating a different user. So once the user is created, I want to add that particular user to two groups. Okay. So if you want to add the user to two groups, you can open that user and inside the user you can add the groups, or you can go to the groups and inside the group you can add the user. Anything is fine. Suppose currently I am there at all-rounder group, and if you see the groups list, he is not part of any group. So I want to add this user to the groups. What groups I want to add? Currently there are two groups are there for me. So I want to add this user to both the groups. Let's select and just add user to both the groups. Then whatever the permissions are there at group level, those permissions also added over here. One permission is getting from the development group, another permission is getting from the testing group, and this permission he is getting directly. Okay, this is how a single user can able to add it to multiple groups also. uh, and if you want to delete the user, you can use this button, and whenever you want to delete the group, let me go to the group section and you can select that group and you can delete that group. Okay, so currently development team there are three users are there, testing team there are three users are there. This is how many users are there inside that group also we can able to see it over here. Okay, so this is about user section and this is about group section. Now let me go to the policy section. Roles we will see after some time. Let me go to policy section. So till now we are adding some permissions, right? Suppose let me go to user section one more time. So at the user section, whenever the particular user needs some permission, we are adding some policies, right? So IAM full access, IAM read-only access, S3 full access, all these are nothing but the policies. See the policy name and the policy type. These things we can see inside the policy section. Okay, so now we completed IAM user section and IAM group section. We are discussing about policies. Policies are nothing but permissions only. What permissions the IAM user needs to have, or the IAM group needs to have, or the IAM roles needs to have. Roles also nothing but where we will attach some policies. Okay, but currently, we are creating users and groups for the humans, right? Humans means employees, developer one, developer two, developer three, like that. But the roles are not created for employees. Roles are created for applications. Okay, what is meant by that roles and all, we will see. Currently, the policy section, policies are nothing but permissions. What permissions the particular users needs to have, the particular groups needs to have, the particular roles needs to have, we can able to define it over here. There are three types of policies. We can have three types of policies here. One is called AWS managed policies. Second one is called customer managed policies. Three types of policies are there: AWS managed policies, customer managed policies. Third one is called inline policies. Okay, inline policies. Okay, there are three types of policies are there currently. So policies are nothing but permissions. So AWS managed policies, customer managed policies, and the inline policies. What is meant by AWS managed policies? The policies which are created by AWS. The policies which are created by Amazon or AWS are called AWS managed policies. Customer managed policies means the policies which are created by customers or us IAM users. Those are nothing but the customer managed policies. These are we will be creating. Okay, as per our requirements, we can able to create our own policies also. These are the policies which are created by Amazon. Okay, so there is one more policies called inline policies. This we will discuss after some time. First, let me discuss about these two: AWS managed policies and customer managed policies. So here you can see customer managed policies type. Sometimes if you go, you can see AWS managed policies. Some policies are AWS managed policies. So how to identify means here you can see type. Based on this type, you can identify. Otherwise, if the policy in the starting, if it is having this Amazon symbol, this is the Amazon logo. If this Amazon logo is there, then that is also AWS managed policy. If it is a customer managed policy, it doesn't have that Amazon logo. Simply it will have the name. Okay. So Amazon managed policies are nothing but, suppose let's say for IAM service, in order to access the IAM service, there are two policies. One is called IAM full access. Other one is called IAM read-only access. Okay. The policies example for AWS managed policies are IAM read only access, similarly IAM full access, and similarly let's say S3. If you open S3 service, similarly S3 read only access, S3 full access. Suppose if you open EC2 service, EC2 read only access, EC2 full access. So like that, for each and every service inside the AWS account, for all those services, these are called some ready-made policies which are created by Amazon. We can't able to delete those policies. we can't able to modify those policies. Just we can attach to users and we can utilize those policies. Okay, but as per our requirements, we can create some customer managed policies. Example means we have to create. Suppose I'll show you how to create that policies and all. Now, if I go to see here, it will display by default some 20 policies or something inside a page where you have to switch between these pages, one page, two page, three page. Like that, the policies will get changed. Okay, some customer managed policies means I have created. Okay, I have created all these policies. Suppose let's say for my development team, I want to allow both the permissions. How to create the policy and all we will see now. So let me create policy. If I click on create policy, I want to create my own policy. So there are total three ways to create the policy. One is this visual editor. Second one is the JSON. So if you are expert in writing the code and all, just write the JSON format of code, but it is not required. So simply you can use this visual editor option and you can select the options. So automatically the JSON code will be written by Amazon. Okay. This is the first option. This is the second option. Third option we will see. Uh, Third option will be in the browser, you can use AWS policy generator. If you type AWS policy generator in the browser, this is the link is there, AWS policy generator. If you click on that link, with this link also we can able to generate that policy. So here, what is the type of the policy? The type of the policy will be IAM policy. Whether you want to provide the permission to any particular service or you want to deny the permission, you don't want to provide the permission. Suppose let's say I want to provide the permission. For what service you want to provide the service? Let's say I want to provide the permission for Amazon S3, let's say. Just you can provide that service name. Okay, and then what is the inside the S3, if you need some specific permission, these and all things we can do inside the S3. So if you want to, so by default, Amazon managed policies, we will get only two policies, right? One is the S3 full access and S3 read-only access. But if you need some permissions which is related to some specific action, one action only, I don't want entire S3 full access. I want only one specific action inside S3. At the time, you have to create your own policy. Suppose if you want to add all the permissions, just you can select this button, all actions button. Then all permissions inside S3 will be selected. Suppose instead of only single service, if you want to select all the services, simply you can select this button. All the services star will be maintained. Okay. So for now, let it be all the permissions. Just click on add statement. Just click on generate policy. You can copy this policy. This is how the code will be generated. You can copy this policy and here you can go to JSON and you can paste that code. The code, whatever you copied there, you can paste it over here. Let me paste that code. Okay, this code you can able to help to create a policy. Let me click on next and the policy name will be all the permissions policies we are providing, right? You can provide the service name, what policy name, whatever you want. Let me create the policy name as batch 11A admin access. So this is the policy name I am providing because so all the services you selected. So that's why I see all the services access will be provided. These and all services you can able to access with this particular policy. Let me click on next. And just click on next, create policy. Then a policy is created, which is called customer managed policy. How to know that one? So you can type the policy name, whatever you have created. Suppose you can just search for batch 11A. See, batch 11A admin access. This is the policy just now we created. This is a customer managed policy. If you open the policy, okay, where you can see the code. For that particular policy, here you can see the permissions. So what is the service you are going to add? Action will be all, and the resources also will be add. All the resources I want to work, and the effect will be allow. Means I want to provide the permission. Suppose if you want to modify the permissions or modify the policy, just click on edit policy. If you click on edit policy, where you can able to change the JSON format of code, or simply you can change this visual editor option. Okay, this is how you can able to create your own policy. Suppose let it be create one more policy. Currently I have used this AWS policy generator to create the policy. So instead of that one, now will create the policy from my AWS account itself. Create policy, and I'm using this visual editor option. So I want to provide two services access. One is let's say EC2, and the other one is RDS. These two services access I want to provide with single policy. Let's click on choose service. Here I have to select that particular service, what service access I want to provide. Let's say EC2 service access I want to provide. And inside EC2, whether you want to provide all the EC2 related permissions, or whether you want to provide some list of the list related permissions, or some read related things, or some write related things, like that, multiple permissions you can able to control. For now, all the EC2 related permissions I want to attach it over here. And the next one will be the resources section. If you click on the resources section, here, whether you want to add a specific resource or all the resources, because inside EC2 also we have different resources out there. We will get an idea by discussing the EC2 service and all. For now, let me create all the services, all the resources over here. Okay, so once this is done, just click on add additional permissions. Okay, let's click on this button. This will be one service access I have added, EC2 related thing. Now I want to add one more service. Choose service. The service name will be, let's say, RDS. Let's select that particular service, and inside RDS also all the permissions I want to attach, and inside RDS all the resources I want to select, all the resources. Okay, so if you want to add one more service again, so then just click on add additional permissions. So like that, multiple permissions you can able to add EC2 RDS. If you want to add one more, you can able to add one more. If you want to remove this one, you can remove. Okay, this is how. Suppose let's say in my policy currently two permissions I am adding, and if you open the JSON, the code will be written automatically. So RDS complete access, EC2 complete access. So this is how the code will be written automatically if you select these options. Suppose if you select here, if you write code, if you know how to write the code and all, let's say S3 I want to add, I can write the code like this, S3 colon followed by star. If I write like this, and if you go to the visual editor, here it will add S3 automatically. Okay, if you write the code, here it will select the options automatically. Here if you select the option, here it will write the code automatically. Okay, S3 I have not selected, but because I have written the code here, S3 star, then inside S3 all the actions I am going to perform. This is how it will select. Okay, currently with the single policy, I can able to provide three services access. So this policy name will be batch 11A S3 RDS and EC2. S3 hyphen RDS hyphen EC2 access. This is how I can able to provide. I can create one policy. So these are some customer managed policies. Customer means we have the control, how many services access we want to provide, what up to which permission we can able to provide. All those things we have much control if we create our own policy. Okay, these are called some customer managed policies. You can able to create the policy by using this AWS policy generator, or inside the create policy option, visual editor option is there, otherwise direct JSON code is there. So you can use any one of these two options to create some policies. Total there are 1047 policies are there. Okay, so this is how where you can able to select the policies which are existed. So suppose let's say earlier from the user section, I'm able to add some permissions, right? So if you want to add permissions, any policy directly from the policy also we can able to do it. Suppose let's say I want to add there is a service called CloudWatch is there. Let's say, okay, the CloudWatch related policy I want to add. CloudWatch full access permission is there. Let me select CloudWatch full access is there, right? If I select this one and if I go to actions, there is a attach button is there. If I click on attach button, here you can decide whether you want to attach this policy to any users or to groups or to the roles in your account. Okay, see here it will display all the users, all the groups, and all the roles which are presented inside your account. Total 75 results are there. So here I can filter also. Instead of showing all, I want to see only users means just you can filter. Users list will be displayed. Suppose if I want to see only groups, then just you can see the groups. I want to add that CloudWatch permission at the group level. Suppose there is a roles concept is there. If I want to attach that to roles, just you can select the roles where all the roles which are created earlier will be displayed over here. Currently, I want to display first user section. That CloudWatch permission I want to provide to this DevOps person and let's say this developer one. Sorry, this all-rounder. Okay. Only this DevOps one person I'm adding at the users level, and at the groups level, let's say I'm adding to the developer group. Then just click on attach policy. So then if you open that particular policy, let's say CloudWatch full access. If I open that particular policy, currently it will be utilized at two different locations. You can see where that policy is also being utilized. CloudWatch full access. You can see the JSON format of code that particular policy, how the policy will look like. Here you can see the policy summary, what permissions are displaying, and the JSON format of code. If you want, you can get it over here. And the policy usage button is there, right? The policy usage button, here you can see, currently it is attached to two resources. One is user and one is group. To this user and to this group, the policy is attached. Okay, you can able to know the policy is attached to how many users and to how many groups or to how many roles. All those things will be displayed over here. And if you want to detach, let's say I don't want to attach this CloudWatch permission to the group, just you can detach from here also. Simply you can select that option and you can detach this permission from that developer group. Then the permission will get detached without going to that group and all. At the policies also, you can able to add that permission to any particular user or to group as well. Suppose if I want to attach the same policy, just click on attach and then select. I want to attach to group section means just select groups and again select the particular group, just click on attach policy. Okay, so this is how you can create some new policies which are called customer managed policies. And one more thing, there is a concept called ARN. ARN is nothing but there is a full form called ARN. ARN is nothing but Amazon resource name. So today we have discussed about one is IAM. Full forms also it is important you have to know. IAM means identity and access management. So you have to know what is meant by IAM. You have to first tell IAM means identity and access management, which will be helpful to manage the authentication and access control. Okay, what and all, who and all users can able to log in, and what permissions they can able to get. All those things will be managed at IAM. So ARN means, ARN is nothing but Amazon resource name. This is how the full forms. Today we discussed about these two, and there is one more thing called MFA. MFA is nothing but multi-factor authentication. Okay, these are the three full forms. Today we got it. Okay, so currently ARN is nothing but each and every resource, whether it is a user or whether it is a group. Suppose inside my user section there are 6 to 7 users are there. Inside group section there are 2 groups are there. All those things are called resources. 7 resources are there. 2 resources are there inside the group section. There are some resources are there in the policies. So each and every resource will be identified with the help of this policy currently ARN value. Currently, this is a policy section, so that's why policy ARN. If it is a user section, then that is a user ARN. Let me go to the developer one user, and for the developer one also, there will be one ARN value will be maintained. See, this is the user ARN. So ARN is nothing but some identity. Suppose if you went to any supermarket and all, each and every product has some barcode, right? So simply they can able to scan the barcode to identify how much is the MRP and all. Okay, so by seeing that barcode, they can able to identify. Similarly, here also, in order to manage or in order to manage multiple resources, to which account that resource belongs to which service that resource belongs to, and all to identify easily, they maintain this ARN value. Almost all the services, they have this ARN pattern. Most of the services, the ARN pattern will be, this is how the pattern should be. Let me copy that one to here. So it will be ARN followed by some colon, then AWS followed by the service name, which service that belongs to IAM service, and the double quote. 2 times you have to use colon. Then this is account, AWS account number, and within that account, user is the section. Inside IAM, okay, inside this account, inside IAM service, inside the user section, and this is the username. Suppose if it is a policy ARN, let me go to the policy section, and if you open any one of the policy, if it is a policies ARN, CloudWatch, sorry, batch 10, some policies are there, right? Batch 11A, 2 policies we created. If I open the first policy, you can see the policy ARN. You can copy the policy ARN from here and you can paste it in Notepad. See, this is how the policy will look like. Here also the pattern will be same up to here. Okay, because both are belongs to the same account and both are belongs to same service, IAM only. One is belongs to user and the other one is belongs to policy. So user name will be dev1 and the policy name will be this one. Suppose if it is a role, then how the pattern will be ARN followed by AWS. So role is also belongs to IAM followed by the account number 273065184566, and here it will display role and then what is that role name. If it is group, then what is that group name? For example, let me, if it is a group, then what will be the group name? Let's say developer one, sorry, dev is the group name, or testing is the group name. This is how for each and every resource, we can see some ARN value like this. Okay, just to maintain Amazon, all the resources and all effectively. Next one will be the policies are 3 types, right? Total AWS managed policies, which are created by Amazon directly. We can't able to modify the content. If you want to see that one, let me open any one of the Amazon managed policy. Let me open. Suppose, otherwise here I'll search it. Suppose S3 full access related policy I want. This is Amazon managed policy. This is also S3 full access only. If we attach this policy or if we attach this policy, both you will get S3 full access only. But this is created by Amazon. This is created by me. See, you can see customer managed policy. So suppose if you open this policy, uh, Amazon managed policy, so we can't able to see the delete policy button. But if it is a customer managed policy, here you can see some delete policy button. But if it is a AWS managed policy, we can't able to delete. Okay, we can't delete that policy. And we can't see that edit policy button also. If you observe clearly, here it should be edit policy button. It is not displaying that button also. You can see the policy usage to which and all users or roles it is. Currently, it is attached to 5 different roles. It is not attached with any users and it is not attached with any groups. It is attached with 5 different roles. And there is a policy versions is there. Policy versions are nothing but, so version 1 will be something and version 2 will be something. The code will look like this. So version 1, see the code is looks like this, and version 2, the code is looks like this. Because first time when AWS developed this policy, at the time this is the policy they developed. But which is developed in 2015. See here. So, but they may release some new versions also. In 2021, they released some new version which they have added some feature maybe in S3. So that feature permission also they have added here by releasing some new version of the policy. This is how AWS will release some versions where you can see the policy versions. And Access Advisor. Access Advisor is nothing but when you access that particular, suppose inside the policy versions, here you are able to see two permissions, right? One is which is related to S3, another one which is related to S3 object lambda. So when you access this particular one, suppose 133 days ago, last accessed will be 133 days ago, and this one not at all accessed at any time. So this is how you can able to identify that particular service when he accessed because of this particular policy. By using this particular policy, when he accessed last time, you can able to identify. So because of using this one, suppose any particular user, whether he is accessing that particular policy or not, whether there is any use to grant that particular permission to him or not. Suppose if he is not able to access till now, even once in his period, maybe we can delete the permission to him. It doesn't require to him and all. Okay, in real time scenario and all, whether he is accessing on a daily basis, then it will show that last 1 day ago he accessed, 2 days ago he has access, like that it will display. Okay. This is how permissions, policy usage, policy versions, and access advisor will be displayed inside the policy section. And till now we have discussed about only two policies. One is AWS managed policies, which are created by Amazon, and we can't able to delete and we can't able to modify. And the second one is called customer managed policies. Just now we created one policy. If you open that batch 11A or batch 11A related policies, see, if you open any one of the policy where I can delete that policy, I can see the delete policy button and I can see the edit policy button also. Okay. And if you see there are one more policy usage button to which and all users, to which and all roles and all it is attached. From here you can attach and detach. And there is one more option called tags. Just it will be helpful to manage the policy belongs to which team and all. If you want to add some tag, let's say team which belongs to, let's say it belongs to team A or team B. Inside organizations, they will have some team names and all, right? So just to identify some information why this policy is created, let's say this policy is created for this particular application or this particular team. So like that, just to maintain some tags, here you can able to add multiple tags, whatever the tags you want, just to identify easily what that particular value and what that value will belongs to. Let's say what is the application name it belongs to. Let's say it belongs to some application 1 or application 2. So like that, to maintain some tags just for naming convention and why it is created and all, to know other users and all, why it is created and all. So for that purpose, it will be helpful, tags and all. And policy versions anyway, you know. Whenever you created a policy, so first time it will be created with version 1. Suppose if you modify that policy, for example, now I am modifying that policy. Instead of adding all the services access inside this one, let it be mm, here. Instead of selecting all the services, let's say some service is there which is called ELB is there. Let me select that ELB and all the permissions inside the ELB and all the resources. Earlier, I have provided all the services access, but now this time I'm selecting only one particular service. Okay, just review policy and save the policy. If you observe clearly, then the policy second version will get created. Okay, so the version 1 code, if you see, this is how it will look like. And if you see the second version, where you are allowing only one particular policy, sorry, one particular service access only. But here, it is providing all the permissions. Action star means you can do whatever the service access, almost some root user permissions kind of thing. If you attach this policy to any user, he can able to access all the services inside your AWS account. So by default, if you have multiple versions, so the latest version which you have created will be the default one. Otherwise, if you want to set this one as a default one, set as default version. Then you can set either version 1 as a default or version 2 as a default. Like that, you can create some, I think up to 10 versions or something. You can have up to, yeah, I think 5 versions only you can able to maintain at max. Suppose again I modified the policy, then it will create version 3 and that will act as a default version. So you can modify still, because sometimes I will modify the policy, but I need some time to verify the policy whether it is working fine or not. So up to that particular time, whichever the users are connected, they want to have this policy, this permission. So this will be applicable. Suppose if I attach this policy to any user, currently whether he will get this version 2 permission or version 1 permission, whichever it is having the default, that permission we will get it. So this default will be helpful to choose the version among multiple versions. Within a policy, we can maintain multiple versions. So whichever it is the default, that permissions will be applicable. Okay. And suppose whenever you don't want any particular version, just select that version and just delete that version. But you can't able to delete the default version also. Suppose let me select the default version. Let me try to delete. It will not, the delete option will not work. Okay. So other than default, any version you can able to delete it. So now version 1 is there and that is the default version. Okay, this is how the customer managed policies, you have the full control and all. So next one will be inline policy. The third type of policy is inline policy. We will discuss this one and then we will close our session. So inline policy is nothing but, and one more thing, this AWS managed policy or this customer managed policy, you can able to attach to multiple users or multiple groups or multiple roles. How you can able to identify? From the policies itself, whether you can select the AWS managed policy or whether you can able to select the customer managed policy. If you open the policy and if you go to this policy usage, here you can able to add multiple users, right? Suppose let's say I want to attach this one at a time to, let's say, 1 or 2 or 3 users or groups or roles, multiple I can able to attach. Similarly, if you open any AWS managed policy also, you can able to attach the same policy to multiple users. But the difference between this inline policy is these two things will work similar. You can able to attach those policies to any multiple resources also. But the inline policy is specific to, it is specific to, it is specific to a single user or group or role. Only for one single user or one single group or one role only it will apply. So we'll see how it will. So let me go to any user. Suppose let's say I have two developer team. So inside these two developers, developer one, I needs to create a policy. So that policy, no one will attach to any particular user. Suppose if I created a policy inside the policy section, definitely maybe that policy can able to display by anyone, and that policy can able to attach to some different users and all. Okay, so that's why I want to create some inline policy directly. Which user you want to create the inline policy, you can go to that user, or if you want to create the inline policy for groups, you can go to that groups also, you can create there. Suppose currently I want to create inline policy for developer one. Here you can see the option add inline policy. Just click on that button and policy will be saved. Okay, creation of the policy and everything will be same only. Just selecting that inline policy will be different. Suppose let's say inside this inline policy, I want to provide RDS, and inside this RDS, only some list related permissions I want to select. Instead of all RDS permissions, list related permissions I am selecting for all the resources. Just click on review policy. So this one will be batch 11A RDS list. Just click on create policy. So now this policy, whatever I have created, will be displayed as inline policy. Okay, the policy type is inline policy, and the policy name also will displays like this. Okay, and if you go to the policy and if you search for this policy, you can't able to see that policy. If you go to the policies list, and if you search for that batch 11A hyphen, you can see only two policies earlier we created, but we can't see batch 11A RDS list policy is not there. Okay, only you can see whether it is a customer managed or whether it is a AWS managed. Those things only will be displayed under policies section. So the inline policies will be directly created at that particular user, to which user you want to create and all. At that user only you can able to see that policy. So that inline policy will appears here only. If you want to modify that inline policy and all, everything will be same. Okay, but this policy will not be displayed on the policies list. So this is about policies option. So any doubts till now? Users, groups, and policies. Three topics we have covered today in IAM. Users, groups, and policies. Tomorrow we will discuss about roles and MFA and how to set the password policy so that other users, whenever they are setting some new password, they should follow some password policy. How to set that password? Suppose let's say at least one uppercase, one lowercase. So like that we have the control how to set that password and all. One uppercase, one lowercase, like that I need and all, and maximum 8-character length. 8-character length password you have to use. So like that you have the full control. Okay, that we will set tomorrow. And one more thing, how suppose if someone forgot their password, let's say, or after 90 days the password will be automatically needs to be changed. If someone asked you, hey, I forgot my password to log in, how we can able to reset their password? Those things tomorrow we will discuss. Okay, here security credentials option is there. Here we have to reset the password for any particular user. We will see that option also tomorrow. Any doubts till now? Okay, I think no doubts. Let's close the session and practice the things whatever we have discussed today, like just creating some users, adding some permissions, and testing whether once you attach the permission, whether he's able to access the service or not. Like this, just test something. Okay, which we did. Just follow the video and do all the things whichever I did today. Okay, thank you guys. Tomorrow we will meet.
Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe.